My model of business is the Beatles.
Okay, we are in Del Mar. Welcome to Del Mar. Awesome. So I had a great conversation with Shaun Collett. Hope someone's okay. Great conversation with Shaun Collett. We covered a whole bunch of topics. We discussed about leadership. We discussed about hiring. Of course, we talked about. Okay. I found him. I think he's
Testing. Testing. How does this sound?
awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much, Shaun, for making the time.
I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you, Subbu.
Thank you. And again, if you're watching, Shaun used to be one of my bosses when I was at Amazon Web Services, and really appreciate having the conversation. I would love that you introduce yourself.
Sure.
And also why you brought me to this place. What is this place and why should I be here?
Yeah, well, I'm super excited for the opportunity to be here and chat with you about a variety of different topics. As Subbu mentioned, we work together. I work for Amazon Web Services in the world of generative and agentic AI. I lead a team that in the market is commonly referred to as forward deployment engineering, where we really take emerging AI services that AWS is building and really help apply those in businesses. I chose this spot, and thank you, by the way, for coming here. This is a pretty special spot for me. Just over the horizon that you probably can't see is a little park. I used to take my kids there to play when they were toddlers. I love just being outside, outdoors, near the surf. My middle daughter is excited about learning to surf these days, and so we went surfing near here a couple weeks ago, and
I see hundreds of surfers here today.
Hundreds of surfers.
Yeah. It's not like smaller surfing place. It's like a pretty big.
Yeah, absolutely. So
Awesome.
It's a little bit about me.
Great things in business are never done by one person. They're done by a team of people.
I want to start by questions around hiring. So when you start hiring for entry-level position or a mid-senior or a senior, you can decide which one, right? What are the characteristics that you look for when you bring in a new team member?
Yeah, absolutely. We talked a little bit, I'll start with kind of more the entry level. We talked a little bit about this earlier of grit and willingness to explore multiple different domains, and often what do we say, like I always say, like you're not resistant to carrying someone else's water, right? Like are you helpful? You know, will you find a place to fit in? And so that's a lot of what I look for in entry level people.
How do you measure grit?
Gosh, that's a great question. Usually it's behavioral questions, right? Like tell me about a time that you overcame an obstacle that you didn't think that you could, or tell me about a time that you feel like you made something out of nothing, or you persevered in life, right? And it doesn't have to be about your career necessarily. Like, how did you just persevere in life? And it's amazing to hear people's stories about, for whatever reason, I can bring top of mind of, like, a good example that someone gave me a few years ago was inventing a mobile phone that was kid friendly. Didn't exist, right? Like how did you go about actually figuring out what kids need? How did you build a market for this? How did you get funding? How did you take risks and go ask people of things that you didn't know that you needed, and you didn't exactly know how it was going to work out? So that's a lot of what I look for, right? Is your ability to persevere. And for college kids, there's persevering in small little teams where maybe they took a leadership position for 2 or 3 people in an economics class to be able to write a paper together. But for more experienced people, and turning it over to that leaf, it's like, hey, I led a whole go-to-market function on something. I didn't know if it was going to be successful or not. And the result isn't as important. Like, was it successful or wasn't it successful? But like, what was your path in figuring that out?
I'll ask you another question, because this is a very important question, right? Why specifically grit?
Why grit? I think that success is really big success is for people who don't give up in that last little bit.
Okay.
And you can take something a long way, and if you have the determination to follow through and get that last little bit, like that's the difference in making something and yourself successful versus not.
So are you, is there another way to say it, people take it up to 80%, 90% to the finish line, they just give up?
80 to 90% is really exciting.
Is it? Oh, okay.
I mean, it's a blast, right? You're inventing something brand new.
Yeah.
But do you have what it takes to see it all the way through?
All the way through.
And to me, that's a huge difference in the ability to.
Lots of patience and perseverance involved.
Yeah.
Understood. Okay. What else do you look in the hiring process for mid-level, mid-senior level type of positions?
Yeah, I also look for people who iterate quickly. So whether that's learning brand new technologies, today it's like, how quickly did you adopt AI? Were you in there inventing things? How have you built prototypes or POCs?
Yeah.
What have you learned along the way? Or are you kind of sitting on your laurels and kind of hoping for that next opportunity? And so people that I look to hire, especially mid-level, are people who jump into things and aren't afraid to just get their hands dirty and experiment and learn and figure things out.
Yeah, it goes back to speed matters the most in business, especially in this fast-changing world.
Speed matters. It absolutely matters.
And speed disproportionately matters.
The fast-changing world, you have to learn, you have to adopt.
Yeah. And I think for your base here, with if it's like startup founders and things like that, like they have the advantage, right, over big businesses right now. And so don't underestimate the advantage that has and your ability to be agile and move quickly.
Got it, makes sense. Of course, now the principal are the next level of hire. What do you look for then?
So for me there, I look for the ability to influence and lead others without authority. And the reason I say without authority is that you may or may not have a team. But in order to actually accomplish things, you have to influence people who are outside of your organization, whether those are customers, whether those are partners that you partner with in business, or whether they're team members that maybe aren't under your supervision.
Okay.
What's your ability to inspire people, to build a vision, and then bring people through to go on that journey with you? And I think people who are more experienced and senior and tenured, that's a fundamentally critical aspect of their role. They still have to have the other stuff.
Okay.
All the other things I mentioned along the journey of being new, mid-career, and experienced, they have to retain those things, and they have to take all those things, package them together, build a plan, and inspire the people to follow them.
Okay. You mentioned about influence versus authority. Can you also talk about the authority part? Why not to be that authority?
Yeah. I would say it goes back to purpose and ownership. So if you're an individual who feels a sense of purpose in what you do, and also feels a sense of ownership in what you do, you're going to be able to travel so much further than if someone else is telling you what you need to go do, right? So when it comes down to authority, like people do have authority. I have a team. I'm responsible for stewarding their careers, for making sure that they're inbounds or not out of bounds when it comes to just careers. So there's authority there, but also at the same time, I try to do my best job of giving people the tools to go be successful, showing them where we need to get to, getting their feedback on whether they think we need to get there, and then ultimately, like, it's your responsibility to go get us there. Like, I'm here as a guide, and also to help you be successful if you need to take the next mountain, but this is where we need to go.
Understood.
And so it's really important to lead without authority, to inspire others to get there on their own. And I think they're going to get there faster and in a better way than if you're directing and trying to tell people what to go do.
I love it, yeah. It just reminds me of the story that you mentioned in your school or college days, where you told your teacher, "I just want to give me 2 weeks, I'll finish it," and then yeah, it looks like that's one way of kind of you took ownership with a freedom where the teacher could have told you, you have to do this, instead of allowing you to do what you wanted to do.
Right. And it's another thing too, I think, for kids coming out of college is to realize that there's a lot of artificial limitations out there, where people say that, like, back to that example in class where this is the semester's worth of work, and most people would say, okay, well, if that's the artificial timeline, I'm just going to kind of plot myself there.
Yep.
But if you look at it differently and say, well, I think I can get it done way faster, like, push the boundaries of, like, don't let society tell you what your limitations are. Like, have you say what the limitations are, and life will tell you if they're actual limits or if they're artificial limits.
Makes sense.
So don't be afraid to take chances like that. The worst the teacher could have said to me is like, no, right? But the fact that he said yes, arguably that changed my career.
This is awesome. I love it. I have a last question. Okay, I know we have limited time, so the train is going. So I've been in Amazon too. We talk about hire and develop the best.
Yeah.
Right. I want to dive deeper on the develop the best part.
When the Beatles, when they were together, they did truly brilliant, innovative work. And when they split up, they did good work, but it was never the same. And I see business that way too. It's really always a team.
This is about, of course, I learned in Amazon as well. This can be specific to Amazon or in general, right? Developing the best part. Once you've finished hiring, as a manager, of course, have a responsibility to kind of get the best out of the team members or help them through their career success path.
Yeah.
I want to understand the methodologies or the practices that you would follow or you'd like to follow, or others to follow. Here's how you can kind of mentor and coach your team member. You covered quite a bit of ground here already, but at the same time, there is a 2-year or 5-year timeline someone is reporting to you and working with you. And how do you plan that out?
Yeah, there's a couple, so I think it's relatively simple. There's a couple things that I'll mention that I kind of follow by. The first, I'll reference Adam Grant. I think he's a great author. He came up with this mental model called Tough Love a few years ago, and it's this matrix that says, basically it's for parents, coaches, and leaders of what is inspirational to people, and when can you truly get the best out of people. And it's this intersection of high expectations and high care.
Okay.
If people know that you care about their personal well-being, and you also have high expectations of what you expect out of them, for a certain segment of people, it unlocks potential. Okay. And they thrive in that space. And so for me as a leader, I show up in a lot of different ways. And it really depends on the individual, but what I really look for is that quadrant of tough love, where when someone starts with me, I'm very clear that I care about their personal well-being first and foremost, their mental health, their overall emotional state, and they're here to achieve.
Yep.
So I'm here to help unlock that potential and help you drive to places that you maybe didn't think you could. And that's where high expectations come in. So tough love is the first one. The second one is this idea of a champion. Everyone needs a champion. And whether you're early career, mid career, or even experienced career, you need someone to open doors for you. Okay. And you need to walk through that door, but someone needs to open those doors for you. And so that's the second thing I think about a lot is, as people are kind of growing in their, either it's in a new job or in their career in general, is like, what doors can I help open for you? Okay. And that may start with, writing a paper, and like, what's your point of view on something? And if you start, or it could be building a prototype, or it could be just forging like a new thought pattern. Like, how can I coach you? And then once an idea is at the point, how do I start to socialize that with others and be your champion to help you succeed? And so I think I use those two kind of mental models a lot when I think about hiring and developing the best. Okay,
awesome. As there are some hiring mistakes happen too.
Sure.
Right. So you hired the right person, eventually they lost interest or kind of distracted or something's going on.
Yeah.
So you always have this top performers, just like how you say they're inspired, they want to run towards their goals. And there are folks, maybe they have something going on personally, fair reasons.
Yeah.
They are having some struggle because of family or health or something. And there are other who are kind of losing interest. Mm-hmm. not feeling the same inspiration that they used to have. How do you handle the top one? I get it. What about the people with who are losing inspiration? How do you kind of mentor them, coach them?
Right. Yeah. Great balance of questions. I would say for the middle and the lower tier people, again, it goes back to caring, right?
Yeah.
Like, and if I really do care, and I do, about a person's well-being and what's in their best interest, it's more of a question of like, how do you feel and what do you want to get out of this, right? If you're not performing to the best of your potential or necessarily what we expect out of people, what do you think you're capable of, and what do you want to do? Jobs aren't always the best fit for people, right? Like, you talk about hiring, like, I might either make a poor choice in hiring someone, or they might be applying for a job that they're just not a good fit for.
Mm-hmm.
And so I do genuinely believe that the right people need to be in the right job.
Okay.
And if they're not, like, it's not good for anybody. And so, as a leader, I just try to have very kind, emotionally supportive, but also candid conversations of, geez, like, is this a good fit,
Mm-hmm.
right? And if we think it is, and you have the capacity, and it goes to will and skill,
Yeah.
right? If you have the will and you have the potential of the skill, then it's really a matter of just applying yourself, right? And you have that in you.
Yeah.
And then if you do, like, I'm willing to be on that journey with you.
Okay.
And if not, we might just decide that this just doesn't work, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's better to, I think a mistake I see a lot of leaders make is that it's a very difficult conversation to have, and so they prolong it or they procrastinate, and that's just not good for anybody.
Okay.
And so for me as a leader, I try to see that early.
Yeah.
My number one thing is just, I want people to know I care.
Yep.
Right? And as long as they know I care, it actually opens an amazing amount of doors to have very candid conversations about things.
Yeah, you mentioned something very important, but super briefly, the mistakes that people often make is they prolong it for a long time.
Yeah.
Or delay it. Can you elaborate on that part? I think it looks like it's a common mistake everyone makes.
Yeah, I think for, and I'll offer both lenses, as the employee and as the manager.
Yeah.
As a manager, it's hard to tell someone they're not performing,
Yeah.
right? It
It's
gets,
a very sad news or
yeah,
tough.
it's not exciting.
It's not exciting.
Right? And so some people are scared. Some
Yeah.
people maybe
Doesn't
don't
wanna
know how
hurt
to
people.
navigate those conversations.
Okay.
It's awkward, and so they avoid that in
Mm-hmm.
life. So that's one mistake I see. The other mistake I'd say from the individual level is that people lack it. I think if you have your life priorities in order, like acknowledging that you're maybe not performing in a job or you're not in the job that's the right fit for you, like, you got to be honest with yourself. And I think a lot of people have a difficult time doing that. And so, I've really admired people that I've come across on my team that's just like, hey, I don't know if this is the right fit for me. Like, wow, like, that's great self-awareness. Great trust and confidence in the future, and I will help you as much as I can navigate to whatever that right fit is. And the job is the job at the end of the day. So I think those are a few mistakes that I see people making, and how I would correct those is just to say, just have courage,
Okay.
right? And at the end of the day, if you're grounded in, again, care, and you're confident in the expectations you have, and you've done the work to understand what is the job I expect out of this role,
Yeah.
then as a manager, there shouldn't really be a lot of ambiguity there.
Got it. This is great. Again, I got what I needed.
Thanks for the opportunity.
But I have two last questions.
Yeah.
It's a two-folded question. This is about you.
Okay.
Your job must be very stressful.
Yes.
So,
No doubts about that.
because the things that you're saying is difficult to do.
Yeah.
I've personally been through that. I'm like, difficult to have these conversations, difficult to think through on a longer term, execute on a longer term, being patient, having the grit. It's very stressful.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do to be yourself?
Yeah, well, so I've learned a lot through life. I've learned through failure, let's
Yeah.
just say. I've had multiple career burnouts. I've gotten shingles, like personally, which is like typically surfaces because of stress.
Yeah.
And I've learned a lot along the way that like I can't hold on to things so tightly. And really, leadership is like you got to have a vision, but you also have to relinquish control in a lot of ways. And so you need to care, but also just know that things are going to work out, however they work out. And you got to pick and choose where you really invest your energy to making sure that your team can succeed and that you can succeed overall.
It sounds like acceptance to me.
That's a great word for it, acceptance, for sure.
Yeah. Are there other things you do, like relaxing and things like that?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And there's things I intend to do, right? I study a lot on mindfulness. I recently watched a kind of a refresher course on a master class on mindfulness.
Yeah.
I have intent on like really starting to take up meditation a lot more. For me, what I do is I exercise a lot. So prior to this conversation, I was at the gym.
Yeah.
Took steam. Yesterday it was golf and running, and I mountain bike, and I tend to find that if I'm outside and connected with earth, that it grounds me.
Yeah.
And for me, that's a huge stress reliever. And I think the final thing I would just leave you with is like, what's constantly on my mind is like, I don't know what I'm capable of. Like I feel like I'm grounded in a lot of capabilities that just haven't reached their full potential. And you look around the globe at people who have wide swaths of impact.
Okay.
And it's like how can I continue to just forge myself in a way that I'm true to myself, I'm grounded, I'm there for my family, and I'm able to help other people be successful, and that's the journey I'm on.
I love it. Thank you so much, Shaun. Really appreciate the time.
I've been very lucky in meeting incredibly talented people and hanging out with them. And so that's been my greatest strength.
Okay, I'm done with the day. Bunch of recording, I'm ready to get back. Thank you for watching. Really appreciate your patience, and if you're still watching, please subscribe.